So you just got this warning light popping up on your dashboard. That means you need to replace your auxiliary battery. I'll show you which one to buy and how to replace it. And you could do it all in about 10 minutes. To make things easier to see, you might need a shop light. So that warning light on your dashboard is the auto start stop warning. It's not an emergency. You could drive along for weeks or months with it on. All it does is disables that automatic engine cutoff when you're at a red light and then kick back on when you're ready to go. It's because your auxiliary battery power level is too low. So you need to replace it. So let me show you the tools you need, the battery to buy, and how to do it. So this is your main car battery, and that is your auxiliary battery that you need to replace. For our Chrysler Pacifica, we have this air duct that goes through here. No tools needed, you just lift it off. Now for the auxiliary battery, we need to remove this cap and loosen that nut right there, that nut right there, and then down at the bottom, the strap that holds it in place. Now for tools, you need a 10mm socket attached to an extension, and you could just use a socket driver like this, but what I'm going to use is an impact driver with a little adapter on the end that attaches right to the socket like that. That'll be easier to get in there one-handed and make the job go a lot faster. This is where you really need that extension. Disconnect the wires. And now getting this battery out of here is not easy. You kind of have to pull it to the front, tip it sideways, and then lift it out like that. So this is the battery I just took out, and this is the battery I bought. Now, if you go online, I just typed in Chrysler Pacifica auxiliary battery, you'll get a lot of options. Some are either $40 or some are $140. You don't need to buy the name brand Bosch AC Delco battery. You could just buy the generic no-name brand batteries. They should work just fine. And I'll put a link down in the description for the battery I used. It was the cheap $40 battery with thousands of reviews. So here are the two batteries, and you can see on the specs, they're both 12 volt, 12 amp hour. Now, one thing you'll note is the old battery had these two pins sticking up, and the new battery doesn't. Now, you could just use the supplied bolts and nuts, and you would have to put the nut through the bottom and then attach the bolt through the top. That's going to be a little tricky. Also, in the van, there's a red plastic cover that goes over this existing battery, and that won't work on this new one. It won't sit properly on this end. So I'm going to remove these pins. And the tool I found that works is vice grips. Just clamp it to the top, not the threads. Clamp it to the top. It's a little stuck on there, but it screws right off. And when you screw it into the new battery, put that nut through the bottom. Now we could try to shoehorn this battery back in. And remember, the positive goes to the back. Let's try to go straight down with it. All right. Then flip it up. Now you can see this fits right over. This positive will fit right over that old pin. Now I am noticing the old battery had more room between the pin and the riser here. So this still doesn't fit perfectly on there. You kind of push it down, but it still kind of rides up the side. It's still protected, but not as well as the original battery. Now we can attach the same nuts on the old pins. Next we can do the strap. Take this long bolt, try to fit it down in there. It's kind of hard to see what you're doing down there, but you can keep threading it until it catches. Now there's one last thing we have to do, and that's disconnect the main battery for just a couple minutes. Basically, you're disconnecting the IBS sensor, but if you just disconnect one of the cables from the main battery, I'm going to remove the negative cable. That will reset everything and the error will go away. If I just went to restart the car right now, that error would still be up there. So same 10mm socket, and just remove that negative battery terminal from the car and let it sit for a couple minutes. And now we can reconnect that negative terminal. Okay, now the moment of truth. Let's see if it goes away. Okay, after doing some more reading, just because the main battery cable was disconnected, you still have to have both the auxiliary and the main disconnected for that IBS sensor to reset. So I'm going to remove both negative terminals from both batteries. So that's that negative terminal removed. And there is that terminal removed. So now we're going to wait for 10 or 15 minutes for everything to reset. So we're ready to reconnect everything. Next, it's time to put this air cowling back in, and you just put the front end in first. And then there's these pins down here at the bottom. They just snap into the front. Just a little pop, and it fits right in there. Okay, let's try it again. Well, it looks like the warning did go away. So I didn't have to do the 5 restarts and 4 hours waiting in between. Just waiting that full 15 to 20 minutes, both batteries disconnected, and the warning went away. So I hope this helps. Thanks.